Stress in the workplace, it's a natural thing, which is why we're doing a series on it here on Sunrise.
Yeah, so I actually spoke, Julie, to a career counselor to kind of find out how to address some of that stress and reduce some of the stress that many of us have. So you might expect the counselor to tell you immediately to go talk to your supervisor if you have stress at work, but actually that was his exact opposite advice. Drew Carey, a local career management coach, actually works with clients all the time trying to figure out what's stressing them out at work. So maybe you have a demanding boss or some difficult coworkers, but Carey says don't blame them first. He actually says initially you have to look inward, analyze yourself and your behavior. Maybe it's how you're approaching your job or even your attitude. You have to have a game plan before approaching your boss. And don't go to your boss with just a problem. He says, have a solution in mind.
You can't just go in and say, I'm stressed. You know, you have to have an idea of what exactly is happening and what would change that. And if you create a vision of your ideal life, it becomes very apparent what those answers are.
So Carey says the first thing he does, actually, Julia, when meeting with clients, he finds out what their short-term and long-term goals are in their career. So he says maybe mapping out a plan is a big stress reducer, kind of know where you want to be. Now, what could, of course, be more stressful than asking your boss for a raise, right? That's pretty nerve-wracking if you feel you deserve one. So Carey tells me when asking for a pay raise, first, quantify your worth as an employee, keep a record of things you've done well, how you've made your employer better by you being there.
To really be able to prove your worth. Nobody is really, entitled to a raise. And so you have to convince your boss. And so you go into that meeting and you make a case for why you deserve more money.
Okay, so say you've taken all those tips, none of that works, you're still stressed, you don't feel better. That's when Carey says, okay, maybe then it's time to consider a career change. If you're just that miserable at your job, life's too short, don't go through all that. But that's when you want to set up an appointment with a career coach. It doesn't have to be Carey, but he's going to look at kind of some of the skill sets you have, how those can best be utilized, figure out maybe what your passions are, then calmly, pivot and maybe make a career change. So just quit and then try to figure things out.
That's the truth. Don't quit a job before you have one. And I think, too, Ben, and I'm sure Drew talked about this, is that it is so hard to get a job now. I mean, it's so the whole game has changed.
And that's a stressor. Imagine that, just trying to find a job. So deal with the stress of your current job before you try anything.
Or great tips. I like it, and I like the finding what you're passionate about.
Everybody should do that.
Maybe it won't feel so much like a job.
That's right. Just have fun.
Come to work.